While honeymooning in Maine, my wife and I stopped at the picture square part of town of Booth Bay on a particularly dreary rainy day. Since our planned picnic was out of the question, we sought a shelter depiculated a little antique store near the harbor. While my wife inspected the large chests and other side tables near the door, I eagerly examined this antique tools and seafaring equipment inside the glass sales counter at the back. Being a collector of optics and mariner's instruments, I hoped to find an exactant or perhaps an old leather bound telescope. A particularly interesting piece caught my eye. It appears to be a heavy brass flashlight, bearing a worn brown panta, but remarkably modern in design. I asked the shopkeeper, but he can only tell me that it was found in some old sailor's chest, as several other compasses and the sextant is also on display. He inquired as to whether I would like to purchase it for $5, or perhaps have it for free. It's worthless to me, nobody wants it. When I remarked about the price, he sighed wearily and then reached into the cabinet to retrieve it for me. See for yourself, mister. The craftsmanship was wonderful, quite durable, and apparently handmade. Perhaps somewhere in Europe, worn lettering by indicated that it might be German, or perhaps Austrian in origin. I twisted the bulb housing and a weak red beam sweep out. Poking out into the dark corner of the top, I was greeted with fantastic monotone swirls, moving internally with each other like a pit of eels. As I stared further into this unusual projector kaleidoscope, my fanficial mind invented ghoulish faces and sinuous gnarled trendles. Shutting off the device, I excitedly turned to the shopkeeper. Fantastic, I said. It must have been an oil or filter of some sorts of the lenses. I have 2 Victorian kaleidoscopes, but none are illuminated like this. You don't get it, do you? Nobody gets it. They all come back and return it after a while. The shopkeeper leaned on the counter, and I could see that he was breathing heavily and perspiring. They all think it's some sort of trick, till they start seeing it with the lights off. That ain't no projection, mister. That damn thing, that light, it ain't making the creatures. It's just with your eyes, can see what's already there. Well, my little pretties, that was the Kaleidoscope, a creepypasta. My final thoughts on this story? I actually have seen a couple narrations of this story, one of them being Mr. Creepypasta. I do remember he narrated this story at one point, and I'm seeing that some people also narrated this story. And these are kind of reminds me of one of these, kaleidoscope things that, they used to have like certain designs and all them. It's pretty much the ones that you would probably see as a kid. Like I remember I had one of those as a kid at one point. I remember I'm sure every kid has had one of those. I definitely would have to say it definitely could see a pretty good concept for the story. Having it like have, some spooky faces inside, like clown faces or something like that, or whatever ghoulish stuff that is happening and going on there. I honestly could see that being the case. Because, most of the designs with these things, they're really colorful. Having it being sold in an antique store or something like that, take it that this is an older story. I honestly have to say, when you come to certain stuff like that, you're bound to find something. This is definitely one of those stories that I honestly thought it was neat. I found it to be really neat. It actually had a good, concept. Not really too scary, I will admit. It's not really too spooky, but it's kind of unnerving, seeing, ghoulish faces when you look for that little scope thing. I mean, even though it wasn't really that scary, I honestly really said it was something. So, yeah, to be completely honest, I'm gonna sit here and saying right now that this story honestly has pretty good potential on being scary, but I mean, I wish there was more factor as to, why is it scary or something. Although it is hinted that it's just basically, just something that was found, in a chest or something. I mean, well, that's kind of believable, but if it's similar to like that of a kid's toy, maybe that could be one thing, but yet again, I mean, who's really to say? Because, I don't really know much, but that's just what I think personally. Maybe there might have been something I'm missing, but I mean, the grammar of this story is pretty good, as well as the good way how the story is structured out, and even the layout of the story. It's very readable. I could read this just fine. I did spot maybe one or two grammatical errors in the story, but other than that, I honestly felt, that this story was pretty good. I mean, maybe with the two grammatical errors could be fixed, but despite that, I honestly thought it was good. It's still a pretty interesting story, a short one. I do somewhat wish that it did have more I wish it did have more scare factor in it, but this is not a bad story. Not bad, but it's good. I will have to definitely say I honestly found this story to have a pretty amazing concept for it. I do like it. The only thing I would have to say is that it kind of ended off in a cliffhanger, this story. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not crazy on when it comes to cliffhanger stories, but this one, I mean, I don't really care for the ending, but it does have a pretty good concept of being scary. I mean, I wish there was more scare factor into it. But I also wish that maybe this one could be longer a bit, or maybe at least find something out. Maybe that's just me, but with that being said, this is just simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that's perfectly fine too. We are all entitled to our own opinions regards to these well, creepypastas, and this is just simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of this story is a 10 out, well, not 10 out of 10, but I'll give this one a 7 out of 10. I'm giving it a 7 because it's not, well, I could definitely say it's not really scary. I do wish there was scare factor in it, but the ending ended with the cliffhanger. Those are the only two reasons about it, but the grammatical errors could be fixed up. Like, I only spot maybe one or two, but other than that, not a bad story. It does need maybe a bit of improvement, but other than that, the story seems, alright. So, with that being the case, and with that being said, what did you guys think of this story? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better, feel free to leave me what your thoughts are on in the comments below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you're new to this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell when I upload because that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out.